So something completely different today. My banister's wrecked, it's all wobbly and I want to fix it. So at the minute obviously it's all wobbly, which is no good. It's just fixed in here into the original newel post, and it's only fixed in just with like 4 fixings, one in each corner or one in each side, should we say. So it's no good. We're going to revamp this, we're going to paint it all white and we want it all back to nice. So what I'm going to do is make sure that this is fixed in properly. To do that, I've got one of these newel post fasteners, these kind of ZipBolt things. I've never used one of these before, but by all accounts they do a great job of really pulling that in and really making that really solid. So today I thought we'd just have a look and see how it goes and just do a little product review on this. So with the instructions, you get basically how to go about it, the size of the holes that you need to drill in the newel post and stuff like that. So we need a 38mm bit to go in the side of the post, we need a 16mm bit to go kind of up the core of it for the main threaded bit to drive up or kind of go up into, and then I think it's a 10mm bit into the actual original newel post to drill down into so that you can screw it into it. So the first thing I'm going to do is just remove this one. So I'm going to get these fixings out. I'm guessing it's held in here as well, so I'm just going to get this disconnected and then we'll take this out and go and get it drilled. Okay, brilliant. So we've got the newel post out and we've just got it clamped in the workbench. So with the actual clamp itself, what you need to do is get an Allen key in here and tighten that up. So basically it's got like a cog in here that turns, as that turns, it turns the opposing cog in here, and as you tighten that up it pulls it down and clamps it in. So obviously you need access to that point. So in terms of a face, where you've got obviously the flat face there, 1, 2, 3, 4 sides of it, I need to decide which side I want to make the hole in here, because basically this is going to sit deep inside the heart of this bit right in here. So once it's all done, it's all going to be filled in and sanded over and kind of painted over anyway, so we're not going to see it. So realistically it doesn't matter. So I think for me, what I'll do, I'll probably just choose to do it any side, but not the side where obviously the rest of the banister comes away, because that's going to be restricted for space. So looking at the instructions, step 1, it says about doing these holes here. So we need a 38mm bit, so we've got one of them ready, and it needs to be 125mm up from the bottom of the post to the center of that hole. So for us, the bottom of the post is actually here, because that's where it's going to sit on top of the actual main newel post. So what I'll do, I'll just spin this round, because as it happens, the face that's up at the minute is actually the side where the rest of the banisters come away from it. So I'm just going to turn it through 90 degrees or 180 degrees, just so that we can then measure that 125mm from this face up to, I think it's about here actually when I looked at it previously. So let's just get this turned around. Okay, brilliant. So this is the face that I want to be drilling in. So as much as this is round, obviously up at the other end it's square, you can just see obviously that face there. So we want to be level with that, parallel with that, going into that. So we're going to go in here somewhere. So that measurement, as he said on the instructions, was 125mm up to the middle of the hole, center of the hole. So measuring from this face here, 125mm is actually absolutely bang on right in this crease. So not ideal. When we get the drill bit, if we start drilling, in actual fact it's going to work. I was worried that it was going to be a little bit too shallow and the blades were going to foul on these bits, because it's quite deep in there, but we should be okay. So I'll get that marked up. Depth wise, it says it needs to go in, so the face of these bits of the drill needs to go in at least 29mm past center. So what do I mean by that? So there's the center, and it needs to go in from center to that furthest point, 29mm. So I'm not sure how we're going to measure that, but obviously the next step will be to get this 16mm hole up the center also. Okay, that's pretty good. It's gone in there pretty deep. I'm not sure if it's deep enough yet, but what obviously we need to do now, if we get this 16mm hole all the way up through the center into here, then we'll be able to take a measurement to see if we've got that 29mm beyond center from there. Okay, great. So that's our hole all the way up. I guess the way to test is to take the rod and insert it. So pushing it in or pushing it in. Yep, and there it is, perfectly out in the hole, just in there. So that's this bit almost prepared. So the one thing we weren't sure about was the depth. Obviously this needed to go in, or this hole needed to be 29mm deeper than the center hole. So I'm guessing that's to accept, to make sure that you've got enough clearance for this to actually sit in, or should we say sit in, once it goes in and receives the bolt. So if I offer this up, actually we can see it coming through the hole there. So I'm guessing the test is to drop this in and see whether or not that will go and accept the thread. Yeah, perfect. Brilliant. Okay, so that is good to go. So I'm guessing ideally what would be the case would be that this part would be where the stud would come out of. So you'd actually have all of that length of stud there, and this would be flat, and you'd be able to start drilling this terminal hole from here. So in actual fact, what we're actually going to do is lose that much stud. So hopefully this will be enough to give us a really good fix in just by going in there, but it's the only thing that we can do. We could, I guess, fill this up with whatever and try and pack it out and make it good, and then cut this bit off and then re-drill into that, but that's probably not going to be very strong. So for now, what we're going to do is just drill our 10mm fixing in now, and then this is going to bolt in to that basically. Great, okay, so with that 10mm hole drilled, what we now need to do is screw this in. So what the instructions say basically is that this needs to go in so the top of this thread is level with the top of this face. So I'm going to get this in. I've got my adjustable spanner. Just on the top here you can see it's got these flat edges for connecting the spanner to help drive it in. Okay, great, that's gone in really well. So we can actually see how much thread we're losing in that fixing. So because of the way it was done previously, not ideally, we're actually losing a lot of that. But having said that, it's gone in really, really tight. It would be so much tighter if it was with all that. It would be incredible. But for now, I guess the next step, step four rather, on the instruction, just as we see here, is to get the newel post, get it in, and actually get the fixing on. So let's get it in place. Okay, so looking around now at this side, we can see obviously we've got the rod that's come up. It's not come up quite centered, so I'm guessing my drilling wasn't as straight as I thought it was going to be. But that's not a problem. There's a bit of tolerance in there, so I'm going to be able to push it over to the side hopefully a little bit. So the next step, what we need to do, I might just need to lift this up slightly so that we can get this bit in now. It's got kind of on the bottom this kind of edge bit to help it kind of go in. So I'm just going to play around a little bit and get that just threaded, just started, just on the top there. Okay, so I've got it on now. You can just see it's just resting on top at the minute. So what I need to try and do now is just get the bit in there and start tightening that up, and hopefully it should pull it down. To help, all I did was just lift it up again slightly, so you can see we've got that little gap there. But obviously as we tighten that in, what that's going to do is just pull that down and really tighten that down into it. Okay, so with that really tightened up now inside there, that's really pulled it down. I really felt it kind of pull it down nicely. So I've not fixed it in here yet, I've got that yet to do. But in terms of how stable is it, it's a lot more stable. It's so much more stable. It's crazy. You saw it before, it was kind of wobbling. There's still a little bit of flex in there, to be fair, and that's possibly because we kind of lost out however much of that screw thread just at the bottom there. And there's probably a bit of flex in the wood also, to be honest. But that's so much better. I'm so much more confident in that. So I'll just get this one fixed back in here, and then it's ready for us to paint. So there we go. That was installing one of these zip bolts into the banister to really kind of make it more stable. Really pleased we've done it, to be fair. I should have done it a lot sooner, but never mind, it's done now. So hopefully that's been useful. If you've enjoyed it, give us a like down below. If you haven't done so already, remember to hit subscribe. Obviously the channel's mostly about cars, but for this one, I thought I'd document it anyway. But for now, thanks very much for watching. Really appreciate your time, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.